Good morning. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about four parts that are very basic to communication and can allow for a very difficult conversation to happen pretty effectively. So, to break it down into two halves and then two parts of each of those halves. For the person that is talking, the two parts is first to understand what needs to be said. And on the surface, that can seem pretty simple, but the idea is to look at the big picture why. Why is this conversation important? Why even have it? What is the end goal that you're even looking for in the conversation? And what personal values are affected for you that makes the conversation necessary to have? That's that big picture why. And for the person talking, the second part is to identify how to package that why in a way the other person's going to hear it. We might think it makes perfect sense to us, and we can say in a way that is going to make sense for us. But we're also talking to another person. So how's that person going to hear or receive what we need to say? And how can we convey that? How can we tell them that in a way that's really going to resonate with them? The second part is for the person listening. And the first step is to set aside your emotional reaction. That doesn't mean that you can't talk about that maybe a little bit later in the conversation. But when someone's talking with you and they're presenting their message, it's very important to not immediately react or defend yourself or come up with a response. And that opens the door for the second part, that you want to be able to listen for the other person's big picture why. And one of the things that can really help with this is to reflect back what you hear the person saying in your own words. And this will give a chance for the other person to clarify if there was a miscommunication or maybe it just didn't quite click. Or if it is accurate, then the other person knows that you are listening and hearing them. There are some things worth disagreeing about. Sometimes finding a way forward involves, hey, here's my perspective, here's your perspective. But when someone's initially talking, when you're initially having that conversation, that's not a very effective time to present your side. Instead, just listen for what the other person's saying and make sure that if you're going to disagree, that it is actually something you disagree with. So to very briefly recap, if you're the person speaking, identify your why and the big picture values for the conversation and package that in a way the other person's likely to hear. And if you're the person listening, set aside your initial reaction, your emotional response, so that you can listen for the other person's why, their big picture value, and reflect that back to them so that they know that you did hear what they said.